Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Cecilia Shawn, and on behalf of OTC Markets and our co-sponsor, Murdoch Capital Partners, we're very pleased you've joined us for our next presentation from White Gold. Before I introduce our speaker, a few points to note. Please submit your questions in the questions box to the bottom left of the slides. Once the Q&A session is ended, don't log out. You will automatically be transferred into the White Gold booth, where you can continue to ask questions via chat and access additional shareholder materials. On a final note, all of today's presentations will be recorded and available for 24/7 replay. At this point, I am very pleased to welcome David D'Onofrio, Chief Executive Officer of White Gold Corp, which trades on the TSX under the symbol WGO. Welcome, David.
Thank you very much, and thank you for everyone coming to join us today. I hope everybody is keeping well. This is a very exciting time for people in the gold industry with the recent price gains in the gold market and the renewed enthusiasm. It's a real privilege for me to be able to introduce to you the White Gold Corp story. White Gold, it's a relatively new company. We formed it in 2016. However, the company does own a legacy of well over 100 years of exploration and some very prolific gold discoveries in the area we're focused on, which, as the name suggests, is the White Gold District of the Yukon, Canada. The White Gold District is also and more famously known as the Klondike District, and it was the home of the infamous Klondike gold rush at the turn of the last century, where literally hundreds of thousands of people risked everything in search of gold and fame and fortune. And it didn't disappoint. From then to this day, there's been over 20 million ounces of placer gold mined from that district, and the interest and the desire to participate in finding these treasures is equally as prevalent. And we see this today, with shows like Gold Rush on the Discovery Network, which is now in its 10th season, and I think probably one of their best rated shows. So with that as a background, I can sort of bring it to the evolution of White Gold Corp. What White Gold Corp is in search of is not this placer gold, notwithstanding the riches, and there continues to be more and more placer gold mined every year. White Gold Corp, and including our predecessor companies, are looking for the source of this gold, right? 20 million ounces, it didn't come from the sky, it came from the ground, but to this day, the actual source has not been definitively found. And from the work that's been done in recent years with modern exploration techniques, it looks like there are likely multiple sources, which makes a lot of sense, as these placer mining operations have been distributed throughout the district. So when did this kind of all start to happen? Was about a little over 10 years ago now, and it all started with a man by the name of Shawn Ryan. Shawn Ryan is now a very infamous prospector. He's developed unique cutting-edge prospecting techniques and leveraging some of the most modern technologies, and that has started to unlock some of the hard rock resource potential in this district. And in very recent years, there's been two major discoveries, both of which were found on lands that were prospected by him with the preliminary exploration done by him and his exploration outfit up there. The first was in a company named Underworld Resources, which had the Golden Saddle discovery in 2009 and 10 that was immediately acquired by Kinross for $140 million. And shortly after that, a company called Kaminak, which had purchased land from Shawn, had another major discovery called the Coffee Deposit, which was then bought by Gold Corp in 2016 for $520 million, and now is owned by Newmont. These were, a couple of major discoveries, and there were a number of others, which really sort of proves the thesis that there is, for whatever amount of gold has been, found literally at surface, there appears to be a high probability that there's, much, much more in the hard rock below. before I get to sort of exactly where we're at today and what we're doing and how we're looking to benefit from, Shawn's legacy in the district, I think it's important to give you a little bit more history. Specifically, so at that time in 2010, when Shawn and his team had these two new discoveries, it created, a modern-day gold rush in actuality, where junior resource companies flocked from all over the world to go and sort of stake their claim to try to, find other occurrences of gold in the hard rock. When they got there, what they found was that the majority of the district, at least, the best parcels of land, had already been staked by Shawn Ryan. So what Shawn did, he worked with a number of these different companies to try and help them put together exploration programs and then go on to look for these ore bodies. And as I mentioned, there were a couple that had success very early on, which is rare in the resource exploration industry. But this area has actually seen so little modern-day hard rock exploration that these discoveries were literally right at surface, continuing obviously onto depth to accumulate to large-sized ore bodies. And then the balance of these other companies, which was probably another 10 or 12, also had very interesting success. They were able to find these mineralized systems and do some work. However, with the timing of the downturn of the junior resource market happening in 2011, 12, 13, other than the ones that found these gold occurrences very early, they were not able to raise the capital to meet the exploration requirements pursuant to the agreements they had with Shawn Ryan, which were option agreements, very common in the exploration business. And what happened was the companies which couldn't afford to make the payments or do the exploration had to forfeit the property back to Shawn Ryan, which was effectively everything other than the two that were eventually taken out. But along with that came the data for the work that they were able to perform in those couple of years. So Shawn still legally was the claim title holder. And, the value there was about $20 or $25 million. So Shawn was able to now further his prospecting instincts and findings with the benefit of this $25 million or so dollars having been done with, true modern hard rock exploration technology, diamond drilling, etc. And with that information and with that package back in his possession, he analyzed the data and came to the conclusion that the prospectivity of these properties which he had were as good or if not better than he thought when he originally found them. However, going forward, he wanted to take a little bit of a different approach in that he wanted to make sure he could maintain a very large equity stake in these properties that compose this land package. So what he did was he reviewed the data, continued to evolve the exploration techniques, and then developed a business plan whereby he concluded that what this package now needed was a 3-year preliminary exploration plan, which will cost about $50 million. And he wanted to do that as one company working with one group. And that was sort of the evolution of how White Gold came to be, which is the owner of this, the residual properties in this district, which had seen this recent discovery and really had no exploration prior to that. And with that, Shawn came to visit our group. We're based in Toronto with the Power One Capital Group. We're a merchant bank. We've been heavily involved in junior resource exploration for over 15 years now. We had known Shawn for a long time. We're big investors in the Yukon. We believe in the jurisdiction's mineral possibilities. We love the fact that it's in a Tier 1 mining jurisdiction where the laws are very clear. And, Shawn brought the opportunity to us. We were, just floored with the prospectivity, which is basically the way we view it, the ability to own the majority of the claims in a prolific gold exploration district that's underexplored, had just seen so much success, and is in a Tier 1 mining jurisdiction. And we were immediately on board to sign up and partner with Shawn and help him execute that business plan. And at that time, the portfolio was actually grown a little bit in recent years, which I will get into. But it was, it was almost 1 million acres in this, Tier 1 area, and that's like owning, we viewed it as owning 1 million acres in Nevada or 1 million acres in some of these prolific areas of Quebec or Ontario. And, the opportunity to be able to acquire that much land in a tier 1 jurisdiction we thought was unheard of, and really did have a multi-decade potential to explore, as we've seen in these other jurisdictions like Timmins, like Nevada, that, you start with the surface, but then 10, 20, 30 years, you're still continue to explore, and you just keep chasing the ore bodies deeper and deeper. And from our view, what is the potential value of owning a tier 1 jurisdiction like that going to look like into the future? So it was an unbelievable opportunity. We were thrilled to be able to participate in it. And the uniqueness that we saw, we knew that the major mining companies would also share that view. And we told Shawn, listen, Shawn, why don't we show this opportunity to the major mining companies? They were all very interested in the coffee project that Kaminak had, your previous discovery. I think they'll want to partner with us. And that's exactly what happened. We went to speak to a number of these different groups. And from that, they were all very interested. We actually chose Agnico Eagle as our partner, and they invested in the company at their creation in 2016, and financed 20% of the company, and became our 20% shareholder partner. And with that capital, plus some additional strategic capital, we then went to begin to execute Shawn's vision of performing, sometimes and often for the first time, follow-up modern-day exploration on very highly prospective targets. So, that kind of brings us to the end of 2017. We were happy to get to that work. When, just at that time, actually another very unique opportunity presented itself. The Golden Saddle asset, which I mentioned earlier, was a 1 million ounce resource. It was owned by Underworld, now owned by Kinross. We also knew the Kinross guys quite well. We became sort of the largest landholder in the district. We went to meet them and said, hey guys, we're here now. This is what we plan on doing. What are you guys up to? And it became clear that, although they still valued the opportunity, they were a little bit focused elsewhere on maybe some other, bigger type projects they had going on. They just made a major investment in Africa. And, once we realized, and they realized that, we had now owned basically the rest of the district. We had reassembled a team that was directly involved with all the major discoveries in the district. We had the backing of another major, that really that asset would be better, there'd be a better probability of unlocking the value in our company being run by our team than with their team, who had obviously just less familiarity with the district. So what happened out of those discussions was an arrangement where Kinross rolled in their asset, which was 1 million ounces at the time. We've since grown that to a little over 1.5 million ounces into our company, which put us in a position which is very unique for a junior company, in that we have the backing of 2 major mining companies, incredible partners, provide access to their guidance, their technical resources, etc., as well as this highly prospective greenfield portfolio, but sort of backstop with a real economic deposit of substantial size of over 1 million ounces. And from my perspective, this is what makes White Gold such a unique junior exploration company. There's lots of blue sky prospectivity, and there's lots of value that can be sort of really, put a peg into based on the ounces in the ground, the grade. And from that perspective, as a CEO and as a major shareholder, along with the Power One Group, we just really felt that couldn't be a better scenario to operate a junior exploration company. And that's, so that's a lot of talking, but it's very important to frame, I think, the context of how our company came to be. And from that, in the last 2.5 years, we've been very busy. We've been able to raise, fortunately, a lot of capital through our partners and through some strategic shareholders, which now includes Eric Sprott, who I think shares our vision of the uniqueness and the prospectivity of this opportunity. And we've been able to do quite a bit of work and have been quite successful in such a short period of time. And just to sort of summarize where that's led us, is we've substantially increased the size of our Golden Saddle and Arc deposits from about 1 million ounces to a little over 1.5 million. We bought one of Shawn's other early discoveries, which is contiguous to the Golden Saddle. That's another 230,000 ounces. So we're sitting at about just under 1.8 million ounces of probably around an average of 2 grams at surface, which is a very attractive type of a deposit. Certainly amenable to open pit mining for the majority of it. And we've also made several major discoveries on our early exploration type work. And we're doing a lot more work on that this year to follow up. And just to kind of summarize, there was the Betty discovery, which is contiguous in Newmont's deposit in 2018. We had the Ryan surprise, which was contiguous or just along strike with our Golden Saddle deposit, which is very interesting. So that can be highly accretive in terms of the opportunity at ounces. And we had 2 brand new discoveries in our package, one on the Vertigo trend where we encountered some very high-grade near-surface gold, and the other one is on our Hen property called the Titan target, where last year, right at the end of the year, we drilled some very high grades, and we're very excited to follow up that based on obviously those drill results and some of the structural work we've been doing in the last couple of months. So we just started our 2020 exploration program. We're fully funded to do that. Our last financing closed about a month ago, which included the participation of our major shareholders, Eric Sprott, and some other insiders in the company. And notwithstanding it was a little bit reduced in size compared to our prior year, primarily because of delays due to COVID, we think that this year's program has the opportunity to be very impactful in terms of advancing our discoveries and adding ounces to our flagship deposits. So I'll just touch on what we're doing, which is actively underway now, drills turning, and we hope to have, we will for sure have plenty of results coming basically from now right through until into early 2021. Based on the work that we're doing, and we have additional capital available to follow up on this sort of phase 1 program. Hopefully the COVID situation and anything else permits. At this point in time, there's no case in the Yukon, which is great. Mining is deemed an essential service, so we are clear to be doing all this good work we're doing. Anyways, I will get into now a little bit of the work that we have going on. Please move on to the next slide. So here's just a snapshot of our Golden Saddle deposit. You see how the majority of it sits in the open pit. That's 1.5 million ounces, average grade about 2.25 grams, coming right to surface. There's a lot of gold, in the ore body sort of outside of the conceptual pit. These are obviously based on gold prices. They were designed at a much lower gold price, and we think as even at gold prices where they were a couple of years ago, we see a lot of ore that would be mineable, where we believe economically, and in terms of being able to grow that, what we've decided in terms of the strategy with our partners is, we're a junior resource company, we're an exploration professionals, and that's what we're built to do. So we don't want to spend our time and capital just looking to perform conservative delineation on this deposit. We are looking to grow it through aggressive step outs along trend and within, about a 5 kilometer radius. And through doing that, we actually found 2 significant occurrences of mineralization, one being the Golden Saddle West, which is 750 meters to the west of the core of the ore body, and this new Ryan surprise, which is another 1.25 kilometers west of that. And then, in eventuality, what in terms of how does this thing get built into a mine? Like I said, I think we're built to be an explorer, so this would likely be something done outside of White Gold. What exactly that transaction looks like is to be determined, obviously, but that's sort of the thinking. But in any event, our goal is to optimize shareholder value as part of the larger shareholder group. We are very much aligned with our other shareholders. So we'll be doing some diamond drilling on our Golden Saddle, the Ryan surprise, which if you sort of flip down here the next page, I think that based on some very prospective results we had in 2018, 2019, and some reinterpretations by our geos, we think that there looks to be continuity and maintained openness in a number of directions. So we're very optimistic of what that holds, and we'll be looking to initiate drilling there in the very near future. This will have a 1,500-meter diamond drill program, and we think we should be able to get a lot of more information, and we're very excited about the work that's going to go on that target. We'll flip to the next one. There's a little more information on the Rhine Surprise. All this is available on our website. You'll see that the drilling last year had multiple high-grade occurrences in a couple of drill holes, and from what we see, there appears to be continuity here, and now we're going to continue to trace that along strike this year to see sort of how that continues to shape up. A lot more detail in our recent press releases. The other target, which we're going to be diamond drilling in this season, is our Titan target on our Hen discovery. This was a true sort of poster child for a white gold type project. Never been touched before. We found it with soil sampling. In this area of the Yukon, believe it or not, it had never been glaciated. So Shawn, actually the led to his early discovery is he was able to find a correlation for pathfinder elements in the soil and the gold in the bedrock. And he's evolved that process to be able to perform it efficiently, cover a lot of area, and through his soil sampling, he was able to tap into this target. Last year, we followed up with some trench work, some very high grades, over 100 grams per ton, free gold right in the magnetite, and we were able to get a couple of drill holes in late last year, which was able to demonstrate more high grade beneath surface. So we'll be doing some diamond drilling this year to follow that up. It sits in magnetic resistivity, which is quite large in size, and based on the structural interpretations we've been doing in the last number of months, we're very excited about the potential for that this particular target. If you want to continue on. Here is our JP Ross property. This was highlighted in 2018 as well, where we had a number of ultra high grade drill results on what was the Vertigo target. We're talking sort of 20 grams per ton and up. Some holes having ounce or multi-ounce occurrences of gold, and we spent a lot of time diamond drilling that last year. And what we found was a number of deeply dipping structures with a very shallow sort of underlying orientation, and the grade continued to be very high. The structurally, though, very complex. So before we go back and do more diamond drilling on this, what we've decided to do along with our partners is perform a very significant trench program to really try to understand the structural geology here to optimize the opportunities, and the prospectivity of our drills. And in following up this program last year, we did some preliminary drilling on a number of other targets in this area, which has now been called the Vertigo Trend. It's about a 15-kilometer by 15-kilometer trend, and we identified about a half a dozen other targets in which we've incurred high-grade drill results last year. So we'll also do some more trench work on those. They seem to share the similar structure, and get those prepared to do some follow-up drilling. And what this is all sort of showing us is that in the work we found last couple of years, this is a very highly charged mineralized system, and the more work we're doing, the more sort of we are optimistic about the prospectivity of this portfolio package. And and as any new jurisdiction evolves, I think the economics get better and better. Being a tier 1 jurisdiction, another thing we're very fortunate to have is the support of our government. They're investing hundreds of millions of dollars to improve the accessibility throughout this district, specifically in support of mining. So we're very pleased to be able to have that. Then if we continue along, I'll touch on a couple of other things. So this is sort of how we view our work. We have our advanced stage stuff with the resources, talked on those. Discovery stage property, mentioned a few of those. And then we have our earlier stage property where we look to make these new discoveries and advance them up the pipeline. And we have a few of those that are slated for some work this year. A couple of actually our most exciting ones, particularly this Betty property, due to its proximity to Newmont's Coffee deposit, right along the same structure. As I mentioned, we had a great hole in 2018, a little over a gram for 50 meters from surface, and sharing a lot of similarities to a coffee itself. So that definitely needs to be followed up on. Just continue along here, a couple more slides, and we'll get into some questions. This is our Bonanza property. Again, very interesting from our perspective. This was actually right in the heart of the gold rush area, right near Dawson. You know, so you might think like this area must have been, you know, extensively explored by whoever was there first, and it was, but not sort of in the area where we see the faults now. We've done a lot of structural work in this area recently, and we sort of see how the faults kind of move into a different direction on our properties, which have not yet been drilled. So we're going to be doing a bunch of work there to get that ready to drill. And then again, here's our Nolan 60-mile project to the northwest of our package. A lot of soil anomalies have been found in previous years, which correlate well to the structural review. And you know, we're pretty excited about getting this property ready to drill in the future. So I think that's you know, a lot to say. We do have a lot going on, which is a bit of a mixed blessing for a junior company. Some people like to have, you know, just very simple stories. From our perspective, as major shareholders, you know, we believe this, you know, there's a lot going on. It's hard to tell a story. That's why these platforms are valuable. But you know, we do believe this is a very unique district scale opportunity with lots and lots of work to be done. And you know, we're very fortunate to have partners who understand that, and Nico Kinross and Eric Sprott, and have been supportive of our work so far. And we're, you know, pleased to be able to have shown success proving our thesis so far, and looking forward to being able to repeat that over and over in the coming season and into the future. So that's that. I have a few questions here. First question is, how do you prioritize with so many high potential projects? Great question. The answer is we prioritize them based on their readiness. We are data driven. All the projects get the same work done on them. When the data is there to sort of validate a hole being drilled, that's when it'll get drilled. We don't try to keep all the bias out of it. Every geo's got their favorite target, but you know, we really want to stick to our what's worked in the past and utilizing the same tools or the evolved tools with new technologies we've been implementing, and drill on that basis. So as a near-term, next question, catalyst, your drilling program, absolutely. That's just got underway a few weeks ago, and we'll be actively drilling for the months to come. Another question here, are there significant permitting issues ahead? We've been very fortunate. We have a great relationship, and as I mentioned, the government is very supportive of exploration, and we have not had any issues with permitting what we've been needing to do so far. And we see other projects in the area having been advanced for permitting, for example, such as the coffee project. When Gold Corp had that, they were advancing that to become a mine. And then there's other, Victoria, also in Yukon, was just commissioned a few months ago. They've done a fantastic job there. Golden Predator near Dawson has their Brewery Creek, which they are recommissioning. So there's a lot of activity, and from what we can see, that the governments have been very supportive of that as well. I guess we got a couple minutes here, fortunately, to get through a few more questions. Where do we go? When did Sprott buy into it? So Sprott actually just invested recently on our last financing, our most recent financing in June. And in terms of what attracted him to the investment, I think he shares our views on the uniqueness of the opportunity. We have this great large land package in a prolific and underexplored district in a Tier 1 mining jurisdiction in Canada. I think that's a very unique opportunity. He obviously also sees that we have ounces in the ground. He knows how to value that as good or better than anybody. And I think he also the partnership with Kinross and Nico validates, I think, a lot of the technical upside and the work that is being done. So I think that's comforting for him and a lot of other investors as well. So that's all the questions I see. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us today. We are extremely excited about the work that's going on, and please stay tuned as we are able to release results when we are ready for the coming months. Take care and stay safe. Bye-bye.